Thank you. And with that, please welcome to the stage the president of the International Churchill Society, Randolph Churchill.
Well, good afternoon, and I've also got Julie Verne next to me representing the Normandy Memorial Trust, and in a few minutes we're going to show you a wonderful film on what we're going to create at the Normandy Memorial, and also a bit about the Winston Churchill education sector. But Louis, that disposition of the regiment's spirit is absolutely wonderful. And it sort of links into the DNA of Churchill, that young man of adventure. We are so proud in our country, in our family, of how the British, American, and Canadian armies and servicemen stand together at the forefront of defending and preserving our liberties. And I must say, not since the War of 1812 have we had so many Canadians in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much indeed for all the Canadians who are here in D.C. with us. It was whilst we were at the conference in Edinburgh 2 years ago that the murder most vile took place in Israel. And it's heartening that today the misery is being brought to a conclusion. It's just terrible how much suffering there has been, and the sooner the hostages are released, the better. Celebrating our freedoms as we are today must include huge thanks to actually the people who've sponsored this occasion. And I really want to say thank you very much indeed to the Bank of America for all they have done to help make this possible. Also to Jack and Barbara Bovender, to LL&P Philanthropies, and to Jean-Paul and Isabelle Montupet. And on the last disposition, Ron and Ellen Luke, thank you very much for bringing over my great-grandfather's regiment. It has been really inspiring. And we're thrilled to shortly have the Stephen and Jane Poss lecture, and the Lafferty family and many others have been incredibly generous. So to all of you, thank you very much indeed. Today, I want to speak to you briefly about the placing at our recently constructed British Normandy Memorial. There is a plan that many of you have seen, the remarkable Paul Rafferty statue of Churchill at his painting easel. Paul has created a vision at the British Normandy Memorial to have a twice-size Churchill statue of Churchill saluting the men who landed and gave their lives in the Normandy campaign. Over 23,000 British servicemen lost their lives in the Normandy campaign, and it wasn't until 4 years ago that we had a memorial there. This memorial also commemorates the 404 Canadians who served with the British and who died, and the 18 Americans who served with the British forces and died at that time. We're also determined to build and have fully functioning a Winston Churchill Education Centre. We get hundreds of thousands of school children that come to the Normandy beaches, as the Canadians do and the Americans do, and we want to educate them on our values, the history, and why it was worth fighting for freedom. I'm so reminded of President Reagan's remarkable words at the beautiful American Memorial at Point du Hoc. Strengthened by their courage, heartened by their valor, and borne by their memory, let us continue to stand for the ideals, for they lived and died for us. I'm thrilled that Julie Verne has joined us from the Normandy Memorial, and if any of you would like to go and speak and chat to her about whether you're able to support the Churchill statue there, please do so. And we're now going to show a wonderful, very short piece of film on the Normandy Memorial and what has been created for the first time for the British. Thank you.
Is it coming? Can you play from the computer? Please do. Yeah. Can we play? Please stand by. Okay, here it comes.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
4 years after Winston Churchill spoke those defiant words in the British House of Commons, it was to these beaches, the D-Day beaches in Normandy, that the Allied nations came on the 6th of June 1944 to restore freedom to Western Europe. Churchill visited the D-Day beaches himself 6 days after D-Day on the 12th of June 1944. He saw for himself how the nations of the New World had stood shoulder to shoulder with those of the Old to rid a continent of evil. Many young servicemen died on D-Day and during the Battle of Normandy that followed. 22,442 of them are remembered on the walls and columns of the British Normandy Memorial above Gold Beach, one of the beaches where British forces landed on D-Day. Not all of the names inscribed on the memorial are British. Many are of men from other nations who were serving in the British Armed Forces. 14 are Americans, men like Joseph Burden from New York, a captain in the Scots Guards. He was killed on the 21st of July. He was 26. Paul Dieter Masting was a German Jew who'd fled from Germany and settled in Atlanta, Georgia. He served in the British Hampshire Regiment. He was killed on the 11th of July, aged just 20. Odin Eskill from Iron Mountain, Michigan, was one of many RAF pilots from the United States. He was a fighter pilot in 132 Squadron RAF. He was killed on the 1st of August, aged 27. 400 Canadians are named on the memorial. Among them Lieutenant Alcide Beauregard from Roxton Falls, Quebec. He was an agent with Britain's Special Operations Executive, SOE. He was captured 2 days after D-Day and executed with 120 other prisoners. He was 28. Close by the columns of the British Normandy Memorial is a vacant space. It overlooks Gold Beach, a place of tranquility now, yet a beach whose very name resonates with history. In the distance are the remains of Port Winston, the prefabricated D-Day Mulberry Harbour. It is a space for Churchill, the D-Day statue, a twice life-size bronze sculpture of Churchill saluting the fallen. One of the defining figures of the Second World War in one of its defining locations. The sculptor is the acclaimed Churchill specialist, Paul Rafferty.
I have come to know Winston Churchill, the artist, very well. In 2020, I released a book of his paintings on the south of France. I then created life-size statues of Winston, painting at his easel, one of these being placed at Blenheim Palace. I now hope to sculpt a monumental statue of Churchill for the British Normandy Memorial at Vers-sur-Mer. It will stand well over 10 feet high. He will be saluting and paying his respects to the troops. I hope that you will support us in this wonderful project for this great man.
Inscribed in stone behind the statue, in a setting designed by the memorial's architect Liam O'Connor, will be words from Churchill's first speech as British Prime Minister to the House of Commons in May 1940, a speech in which he said he had nothing to offer the British nation but blood, toil, tears and sweat. Churchill, the D-Day statue, will be one of the most significant sculptures of Winston Churchill in recent times. Lord Andrew Roberts, author of the definitive biography, Churchill Walking with Destiny.
I think there are two aspects of this magnificent sculpture which is going to overlook the D-Day beach. First is just the artistic one. This is going to be the most important and, in my view, the most beautiful of all the statues of Winston Churchill, of which there have been dozens, scores, maybe hundreds, really since the unveiling of the one in Parliament Square over half a century ago. But also there's the historical aspect, because to have a statue of this man in this place is historically tremendously important too. It reminds us of the sacrifice and what this country and its allies will do for freedom.
Churchill, the D-Day statue, in tribute to the greatest war leader and in honour of the many who gave their lives for freedom.